Welcome back to the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Elyachar, the chief content producer and writer of jakestake.com, a pop culture entertainment news website. If you're watching this video, please subscribe and like below. And if you're listening to this on our audio podcast, please give us a 5-star rating and also please subscribe. I'm very thrilled to welcome my next guest. He is a Spotify verified artist and also a Billboard charting artist. He has combined on his social media 3,300 TikTok followers as of this recording, 3,700 Instagram followers, and also 11,400 YouTube subscribers. So please help me welcome all the way from Israel, Mayer Malik.
Woo! Yeah, thank you so much, Jake. I love that intro and I love your energy. Thanks so much for having me. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for taking time. So guys, this is probably my longest interview to date, long distance interview, because we're based in Kansas City and Mayer's in Israel. So it's it's like almost 7,000 miles.
Like swimming to feel each other here. Not even a question. It's a miracle. This technology is miraculous. And thank God for it, because we could have been neighbors and having to do the same thing because of the corona, you know.
I agree. So let's get started. So Mayer, when did you get interested in music and how did that passion evolve into desire to pursue a career in the recording industry?
Wow. So when I was 3 years old, my grandmother gave me a violin, and she had survived World War II. She had survived the Holocaust, Auschwitz. And when she went home, everything was gone. Her family gone, but her brother's violin survived, and she had given me this violin when I was 3 years old. And no pun intended, I was fiddling around on this violin when she gave it to me. She also gave me this piano, and that just it got me in. It opened the door for me. But then when I was older, I found this electric bass in the attic of where the air conditioning unit was in my parents' pizza shop in Manhattan, in New York, where I grew up. And it was like Sword from the Stone. And this electric bass was just glowing, and I was just getting into it. And I found that there is a medium between rhythm and tone and its groove of bass. And I fell in love with the bass, and I picked up the bass. Then I was in the backseat of my friend's car, and I heard this CD playing. You remember what CDs are?
Of course.
And it was C. Lansbaum, guitar virtuoso, playing classical guitar. And I was like, I'm going to learn how to do that. And I called him from the back of the CD. I'm like, can you please teach me? He's like, no. And I called his wife. I'm like, can you please get your husband to teach me? And I was onto something there, because I tried for another month and I finally got him to teach me. And I studied with him for 2 years. And that was my way in. Yeah.
That's amazing. Persistence paid off.
Totally. By the way, he eventually went on to produce Pete Seeger and win a Grammy. So his persistence paid off too. He was
Absolutely. So speaking of role models and teachers, so who are your music industry role models and how do they influence your sound?
I want to answer that, but if I just have to ask you, did you just have a birthday?
Yes, I did.
Happy birthday. I think I saw it on Instagram. We became, follow each other. I saw your stories. I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday before I forgot. It's super important, It's the new year, and it's also new year for you.
Absolutely, Mia. Thank you so much for the birthday wishes. So let's get back to our conversation.
My man. So yeah, why don't you go ahead and repeat the question?
All righty. So who are your music industry role models and how do they influence your sound?
Cool. So I have two different kinds of music industry role models. I have those who are role models inside of the, artistry, and I have those who are role models inside of the business itself. And those are two very important parts of the industry, and I'm going to explain to you why. Ronnie Vance, who signed Gwen Stefani, Tupac, Bruce Hornsby, he was the vice president of Geffen and Interscope. 3 people called him about my sound when I was out and about performing live solo as a solo artist, without a band, I mean. And he came and he asked me to play me the songs through, and I played him around 200 songs. In the middle of the songs, he was like, next, until 2 weeks later, he sent me an email. Hey, did you write anything new? Another 2 weeks. Did you write anything new? Another 2 weeks. Write anything new? Eventually, it was the song Sensitive that I had written. I sent him Sensitive, and he's like, good. And you know what he taught me? He taught me that there's making music for your friends, and then there's making music for the industry. And those are two different things. But if you can do both, and this is not him speaking, this is me speaking, if you can do both, I think you're hitting a certain sweet spot because you have to be true to yourself. On one hand, the other hand, you also have to think, wait a second, why does something succeed at all? It's because people want to hear it, especially nowadays, where who's deciding what's played? People with their own fingers and their own ears on Spotify. Plus, obviously, the algorithm, yes, but the algorithm is based upon what people like. And so I think it's really important to stay true to yourself. So Ronnie Vance has been super big influence on me from that side of the music industry. But in terms of the artistry, wow. Shlomo Carlebach, Bob Dylan, Simon Garfunkel, Beatles, The Doors, Bob Marley, Michael Jackson, Jackson 5, Ray Charles. The list goes on. Oh my God. All of
the greats.
What?
The greats.
Greats. Yes, definitely the greats. It was my 19th birthday, and I got this CD of Bob Dylan, and it was something from the past, but the sound, I could hear that, I could still hear it, and it inspired me. So you know what? I'm writing songs, I'm writing poetry, I can do this, and that was also something that let me know that I can do that.
I know. You're not the first guest to talk about Bob Dylan. One of my friends, Trapper Shope, he actually co-wrote one of Bob Dylan's missing song lyrics.
No way.
Yeah, it's one of my. It's amazing that he actually co-wrote it, and his legal team approved it.
That is super incredible. Who's your friend?
Trapper Shope. Trapper Shope. He is a guest, guys. If you missed an episode, go back. He's a really good episode to listen to, and he can best tell you that story.
Oh, I love that. I definitely love that. By the way, in terms of like more modern artists who have been a big influence on me, I would say John Mayer. And before I even heard John Mayer's sound, I actually heard about him on the news, and they said that he was working at a gas station. I don't know if that's true or if that was just a PR story, but whatever it was, it told me something. It told me that just stick to what you're doing, stick to what you're doing. It will pay off. And someone else who had a huge influence on me was Alicia Keys. First, I had seen her on TV, and I'd seen her kind of like walking down the stage kind of thing, but it wasn't that walk. She was shining. I saw that she had a certain spirituality to her, and I saw that she was bringing that spirituality to the stage. And that's something that I really relate to, because I like to give over a message as well. And then I actually had the merit of meeting her when she came to visit. And I took a walk with her in the old city of Jerusalem, and I got to play her some of my songs, and she sang along. And I actually got some pictures of that on my Instagram and, in the highlights there. And she touched me in a really special way. We had in the moment, we had a really special connection, I could still see into her eyes, and she is a queen. She's incredible. And she totally touched me and has definitely inspired my music. Not even a question, especially New York, which is super, super, Empire State of Mind, super sentimental to me, because she really does touch on New York in that song. I'm saying not touching on, I'm not saying she's touching New York, and she makes New York touch me, and I'm from there. So when I do get a little homesick, I could put on that song and feel her and feel New York at the same time. It's incredible.
I think that's amazing. Like, my jaw dropped when you mentioned Alicia Keys and like that opportunity. I'm so glad you had an opportunity. Have you listened to her Alicia album that was released last year?
Oh, of course. Blows me away.
I love that. I love Underdog. It's a beautiful song.
Me too. I also like some of the stuff, like she did the song We Are Here, and really, really also touched me in terms of humanity, something I'm so big on in terms of like a house of prayer for all nations. And there really is a greater we. There's this story about a guy drilling a hole in the room of, his private room inside of a greater boat. And everyone says, "What are you doing? You're going to drown us all." He says, "It's my room," And I think people don't realize that it's just an illusion that all souls are separate. It's just an illusion that what I do affects me, but affects all of humanity. Everything I say, think, and do. We can only do 3 things to change the world. And I think Alicia Keys touched on that, and We Are Here,
I agree completely. So in 2018, you released your debut album, Dear God, under your former stage name, YM. It was to commercial success and charted on Billboard. So what were some of the lessons that you learned from that experience that helped your career?
Okay, what I learned from that experience was, first of all, if anyone would like to know how to chart on Billboard, it's not a mystery. but you can go and you can Google it and you can find out how to chart on Billboard if that's something that you would like to do. Billboard calculates sales and plays and streams, radio plays. What happened with me was that I was on, in between 2018 and 2020, before the Rona hit, I was on around 75 airplanes all across the world, performing solo performances. And I just released this album, Dear God, my debut album under the stage name YM, which you had mentioned. And of course, I had a bunch of CDs with me, but I also had something, it's kind of like my innovation, which is like a square USB album card. USBs were, still in. Now I would have to make a 3.0 version. But I innovated. Would you like to see it? I think I can pull. You want me to pull one up? You want to see it?
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Give me a second. Here it is. So everyone knows that CDs are food for the whales, but everyone wants to buy something after show because people are super inspired. They'll buy a T-shirt, they'll buy they'll buy something, but they would like the music. That would be great. And so I created something which is eco-friendly because you're not going to throw it away because it's reusable, and it's a square. There it is. It's a square.
Oh wow!
USB album card, and out pops the USB just like that. Now they.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and they have credit card sized ones. But I kind of made the square one on my own. I got in touch with a manufacturer in China, and I was like, you know what? It's got to be square because the CD was square. Well, not the CD itself, but the packaging was square, and the vinyl was also round, but the packaging was square. And I wanted to keep that square thing going. And that's why I made this. And people were really inspired to buy them after the shows as well. Not just also because it was something new, and they felt it was also eco-friendly, and they plastic, the CDs, everyone knows, like you keep your sentimental CDs, I guess, but everyone's getting rid of the CDs, and it's kind of sad. Plastic is destroying the world. So I had figured out how to report sales to something called Nielsen SoundScan. And Nielsen
I've heard of Nielsen. I've heard of Nielsen for the TV, but can you describe to our audience who's not familiar with Nielsen SoundScan about it?
Yeah, exactly. And, Nielsen Sounds, if you report your sales to Nielsen SoundScan using something like Single Music, who's part of Shopify, if you sell something via Shopify, you can connect it to it's kind of like an extension or an add-on. It's Single Music, and they will report your sales. They'll verify your sale, first of all, and they will report your sales to Nielsen SoundScan. Nielsen SoundScan reports your sales to Billboard. And so I had sold thousands of these things over these tours, and Billboard called me when I was in Summer Days. It was Summer Days, but it was a festival called Summer Days in Toronto, which is in a country called Canada, right above you. You may have heard of it.
Of course, I've heard of Canada.
I'm just messing. I love Canada so much. It's great. I had such a good time at Summer Days Festival in Toronto. And I was jamming there. There were some great DJs as well. And we had one night where I was, live with a DJ, and we were all around there. And I was in Summer Days when Billboard got in touch with me. They're like, yeah, we're thinking of charting your album. Can you send us these codes and this? And they'll give us all the facts and make sure that's all real, blah, blah, blah. And that was when I got the good news. I was so happy to have charted on Billboard from these sales. But really, all that really means is that you sold. And that's what Billboard means, It's a cool thing. It's interesting how people let external judgments influence their taste in music. I have to say, after charting on Billboard, and I'm thankful that I did, but it shouldn't really mean, okay, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying, Jake.
Absolutely.
Right?
It's all about, I think it's like tough, like an algorithm or sales predict the popular or even a social media platform have helped landed artists. Like, for example, because of TikTok, we've known Olivia Rodrigo.
Right, exactly. Can I just say something that I appreciate something about TikTok, in that its algorithm, I feel that it keeps on showing it to people if people keep on watching it. It does have this domino effect, whereas Instagram and Facebook are just straight up limiting it until you pay them. You know what I mean? Of course, there's exceptions to the rule of virality and all that. What has your experience been with TikTok?
I actually haven't posted on TikTok because I know I can be addicted to social media stuff, and I rather go down a YouTube rabbit hole than a TikTok rabbit hole, and I have a lot of stuff on my plate to do.
Oh my gosh, I totally hear you. All rabbit holes are, but YouTube can be slightly more productive. I agree.
All right, so we talked about the business side of it. So, what are some of the additional challenges that you face breaking into not just the American music market, but the international music market, and how did you overcome those obstacles?
Mm. Um, I have to say that because of my international reality, I'm from New York, and I moved out of the States when I was 17, and I traveled around the world a lot. I had used Israel as a base, but I kept on coming back to visit, and I kept on visiting other countries. Um, I, I I heard this, and I don't know if it's true, but I heard it, and I'm sure the numbers are off, but something like 10% of Americans have passports. And like, when I travel the world, I meet Germans and Israelis. Of course, some people from elsewhere, but they're everywhere, and they're really traveling a lot. And I find myself traveling a lot as well. And so much of it is your ability to network on social media, but also so much of it is going out, whether it's at night or it's on an airplane or on a boat or just getting out and going out. And because of that, um, I feel like it has been less challenging for me to make my stamp around the world with music because of the real relationships that I've cultivated with the most amazing souls around the world, and that actually has paved the way for me. And I can't really take credit for that. I can only just be really thankful to the creator of the world for the opportunity to go abroad and to perform abroad, and for the booking agents and the organizations and the ministries that sent me around in order to give over a greater message that we do not need to agree in order to love, and that true peace really starts inside of yourself and with your friends and your family, and then it could spread far beyond that, but it's got to be inside. And I think it's because of that that universal message, and also the universal language of music, that I had an easier time. But if someone was having a hard time, and especially now during Corona, where you really can't get and just go jump on an airplane, or even if it was not Corona and someone's financially limited, I would say you are probably majority of your day, unfortunately, looking into a screen that is connected all over the world. And for some people, as hard it is to approach someone they have, a love at first sight crush on at an event or a bar, or whatever it is, to walk over and break the ice and say hi. Some people have that same issue on social media, to just go and comment on someone's post and say, "You're beautiful," or "Thank you for sharing this." Whatever it is, go do it. Don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed to shine your light from one side of the world to the other. And do not wait. Do not procrastinate. Do not say, "I'm going to do it later." Just do it right now. You've thought of it now. Do it now. Unless you have a master plan and your perfectionism might get in the way in that point. But, my advice is, don't be ashamed and shine your light from one side of the world to the other. You have something so special to share. And people are, even the most beautiful guy or girl is a little bit insecure and needs to hear it, that they are beautiful, and they would love to hear it from you, and that can
That
help
is
your international reach. Yeah.
that is beautiful advice, and that's perfect for at our end of our conversation. We may have to revisit that. I think that's wonderful. I think people need to hear that. I want to talk to you about some of your songs, because when I first was turned on to you by Sense with the song "Sensitive."
Oh, nice. What'd you think?
I really love that song. It was great. I love the call and response. It was great. What's the story behind that?
Wow, man, rips my heart out just thinking about it and feeling about it. I can cry. Well, that song has matured over time, just as we all have. But that song actually originated with writing about a friend who, a group of friends who had kind of left, and I was on my way to meet them, and they had left without me, and I felt this got ripped apart, and they didn't do it on purpose, but still, I felt like, wait, did you just forget about me, or what happened there? Like, I thought I was coming with you guys in that ride, and I was young, and that made me realize, well, dude, just go. Who cares? Like, just go on your own. But no, I was just like, I'm much too sensitive for this world. And I was in the middle of a crazy relationship at the time, a crazy relationship. And you know, they say like one tear opens up the floodgates for the rest, you know, and that's what happened with this song. And I just started getting deeper into it and deeper into that feeling. And I decided it might be healthy to write about this relationship. And, you know, pain is a feeling, obviously. And feelings are not meant to be ignored, including the feeling of being numb. Some people think, well, then you're not feeling if you're numb. Well, no, numb is also a feeling. And the Creator has blessed us with feelings in order to feel them, because there is healing in the feeling. And my experience has been that if, God forbid, something bad happens to your fellow or someone in the news or whatever it is, you're seeing that or hearing about that because you're supposed to empathize and feel, and you can heal through that feeling. And if not, it seems like that might get closer to you until you wake up and realize, wait a second, you need to start feeling here. You need to start healing here. And I had realized throughout writing Sensitive, through the relationship that I was in, that pain is a good thing and that you should feel it and you should express it. And as you can hear in the conversation, she was going crazy, but you know, I wrote that part for both of us. Really, we were both going, we all know what it's like to go crazy for someone, about someone, inside of a relationship. And we know what it's like to be lost inside of someone, because everyone is a huge world, an ocean, like I speak about in the song. And they're changing every day as well. So they're a new world every single day. You know, we have this, you know, the Hebrew word for wisdom is chokhmah, which means wisdom. And if you rearrange the letters, it spells koachma, which means the strength of what? The strength of what? Continuity. Wisdom is in the what. Why do certain people have a stereotype that they answer questions with questions, right? Because the question is what brings upon the next. If you give someone an answer, it's over. If you give someone a question to their question, it's just the beginning. And relationships are over when people think they know each other and they stop asking questions. They stop courting each other and asking each other, who are you today? And this song, Sensitive, was a great, I'm lost inside of you, and I want you, and but you need to realize that even though I'm lost inside of you, I want you, and I'm done with all of these lonely nights. But tomorrow, you're gonna let me know. I know you're gonna let me know. I know it. I know you're gonna let me know tomorrow that we're back on, and that's that space that whether it's a guy or the girl in a relationship, some people need to learn to give each other. They need to learn to give each other space. You know, if it's a real coal, it's going to last. If it's not a real coal, it's not going to last anyways. And love is like a bird. She flies away. She comes back. She's yours. You know, you need to give it space. You don't want to be suffocating. You want people to be able to spread their wings and choose you as a result, but not because you're forcing them to, because you're like, you need to give them space. And that's also what Sensitive is about, is being sensitive to each other's feelings and to each other's needs, and to give each other space.
I think that's a beautiful story behind that. I definitely think that anyone who's going through that kind of relationship should listen to that song.
Hell yeah. Thanks, my man. I appreciate that. Yeah, and you can see in the music video that she is celebrating her freedom and he is making peace with letting her go. And you know, at the end, there's that sensitive cassette on the floor, and he just walks right away from it. He's like, enough with a little, but also enough with being sensitive. It's also just time to just get into it, you know. And I think it's also an important message.
Awesome. So let's leave Sensitive and talk about Everything I Wanted, and the story behind that.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, you know, Everything I Wanted is a Billie Eilish cover, and I have a crazy story about that, because what happened was we went out to this incredible desert to film this, you know, live acoustic recording of Everything I Wanted. By the way, the reason I chose to cover the song from Billie Eilish is because I relate to the song. And it must have been, I don't know how many years ago, but a number of years ago, that I had realized that I had gotten everything I wanted. I really did. It was just, I had performed for so many, you know, when I say so many people, I don't mean like, oh, I've performed for so many people. I don't mean it like that. Just, I performed for a lot of people, and I've connected with them, and I wanted that, and I was praying for that, and I got it. And then I had a recording, and it charted on Billboard, and I had sold, and I had created, and I had innovated, and I had made a new sound and I was on TV and all these things. I was like, okay, I got everything I wanted. But what's the point? What's deeper? What is the real hunger for? They say that days are coming. There'll be a hunger in the world, but the hunger will not be for bread and the thirst will not be for water, but for this real connection with each other and the creator and the universe, and that is one of the things that people are really looking for. And everything I wanted touched me in that way, and decided to create it. But the crazy story that happened with everything I wanted was that we had chosen to use the vast desert as the opening for the music video for like a long time, and someone had said to us, you should really start with your bass or something a little more catchy for the first 4 seconds, because you have 4 seconds to catch someone. But the night after we had the conversation during the day, Billie Eilish released her new song. I think it was called Your Power. Do you know?
I think so. I think so.
I think it was called Your Power, something like that. I'm sorry, Billie, if you're listening to this and that you're insulted right now, but it happens to the best of us. But she literally started the video with this super long desert intro, identical to my desert, to the point where my manager, Maria, she sent me Billie's link, and I opened up the link. She said, "Does this look familiar?" And I open it, and I'm looking at my video. I'm like, what the heck's going on here? And I look it down. It says Billie Eilish, 3 million views. I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. And it was just a funny thing that we had literally filmed the same exact video as Billie Eilish. Of course, I was covering a different song version, but there was something really weird going on there. I have not figured out exactly what it was, but it was shocking. And, the flair of the unexpected is what memory is all about. And I will never forget that feeling.
Yeah, and here's the thing. First of all, I'm surprised. Like, here's the thing. You made that song your own. I thought, and now I know it's a Billie Eilish song. I'm like, wow. I'm like a little blown away by that. And also blown away the fact that it's almost the 3 seconds with a different song, different video. I'm just like hoping that you guys don't get copyrighted so soon or anything.
Oh my gosh! When you do release a cover, you do have to buy certain copyrights and things like that. We did take care of that, but the video was just like, it looks like we filmed it in the same desert. It's really uncanny. You should go check that out. I'll send you some links. It's crazy, man.
Also, so on my birthday, you did release your latest single, "Loving Woman." So I would love to hear the story about that.
Okay, thank you. "Loving Woman" is a prayer. It's a prayer for one to find their soulmate or soulmates or love of their life, partner, whatever it is. People are lonely, and even if you found your soulmate, you might also still be lonely. And it's a prayer to keep things fresh, like we were talking about before, of living in the strength of what? The wisdom of what? To stay in the what? And, it's also, I had realized that my friend has been praying, who did find his partner, has been trying and working hard to have a child for like 10 years. And then my other friend has 5 children on 4 different kinds of birth control. I'm like, doctors yes, doctors no. There's clearly something else going on. There's a greater power at play here. The creator deciding who is born and who's dying. There's clearly something, there's clearly a body and clearly a soul, and they both need love. And "Loving Woman," of course, I called it "Loving Woman" because I'm coming from the male perspective, but it really applies to everyone. And you check out the words there and you see that it's, tie the knot and set me free. You want that person to be able to hold you tight, but at the same point, you feel so free because you have that. And when I'm with her, yes, I'm with her. When I'm gone, she could let me be. We spoke about that space before, the sensitivity to have that space to let someone be. And working all night, obviously. The truth is, when I wrote that lyric of work, yes, she works. We work all night and we say a little pray for you. Really, there was a point in my mother's raising me where I think she was like stocking shelves at Pathmark all night, and I thought of her like working really hard in order to support me, and that touched me. And I also was thinking of it in obviously a making love kind of way, of how people are working hard making love. And it's like, of course it shouldn't have to be hard work, but it's crazy how it might become that for some people. And it's kind of like this prayer of patience for your loved one, to be patient with them, because if you do want to have children, no matter how old you are, the day will come potentially where you might want to have children, which is, in my opinion, the biggest pleasure in the whole entire world, with a child. And you got to be patient sometimes. You got to be patient. And that friend who I was telling you about, who waited 10 years, he actually just had twins now. They just had twins.
Congratulations to him.
Thank you. Yeah, thank God. I'll pass it on. And that's huge. And it's that patience for your loved one, not just about giving birth, but for them giving birth to their greatest creation, whether it's their live stream, their podcast, their ceramics, their art, their job, their bar exam, the things that they are giving birth to. And we filmed this music video for Loving Woman, which is coming out September 24th, kind of like to empower all peoples, but we use specifically a woman who's roller skating, because though she's beautiful, she's super talented, and it's about giving birth to your talent and empowering each other to feel beautiful and to feel like we are being successful with the gifts we are given and talents we are given. And so many people relate to that. Look at you using your social skills out here to help artists come through to the light, and I appreciate that. And it's really a blessing, and I want to ask the Creator to bless everyone here, to know that there's no two of you in the whole entire world. There's only one of you, and the Creator makes no mistakes. There's only one of you, and there's only one of you who has the passions and desires that you have. And I ask people, what's your dream? And they say, oh, no one knows their dream. Of course not. Knowing is up here, but the dream is a feeling thing. It's over here. And sometimes as a child we've had it, but then comes university, and they give you something which we call Mivchan Amerikai, which means like American test, which is a multiple choice test. They call multiple choice tests American tests in some here. And because all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, this is what I want to do, and they're like, no, these are your choices. And you get there talking about Pathmark, and the serial's just endless. You don't even remember why you came anymore. University can do the same thing to you with all the choices. And it's really important to not live a multiple choice lifestyle, but to tap deep into yourself and choose whatever it is exactly that you want to do, and to believe in yourself that you can do it, and to never give up. To never give up, because if you never give up, you will succeed, but you must never give up.
First of all, thank you so much for blessing this podcast and blessing my audience. I really appreciate it. We've never had anyone do that before. So thank you for that moving moment. And I totally agree with you with all the stuff going on, because I've definitely seen myself gone on to university, work in broadcast industry. And unfortunately, I graduated at the height of the Great Recession of 2010, 2011. So I had to work my way and start my brand from a blog. And now 2019 is on podcast. And here we are 10 years later.
Yo, look at that, man. You see, you did it, dude. And you're here now. What's next for you?
What's next? I'm not sure, because if you guys know, I cover America's Got Talent. The biggest thing that has ever happened in my almost a decade of covering that show happened on Tuesday. And I had the opportunity to cover the virtual press room and talk with not just the contestants, including two of them who've been on my podcast before and who were so excited to see me, but also talk with Howie Mandel for the third time during season, Heidi Klum for the second time, and for my first time in my career, Simon Cowell.
Nice. How was that?
It was great. It was an honor to talk with him, and it was an honor and have the opportunity to have the second and third time to talk with Howie Mandel and Heidi Klum. Mm-hmm. It was great. So I have a long way to go. So to do this, and I'm here for the long haul. I want to be like the Walter Cronkites, the Barbara Walters, and of course the late Regis Philbin as well. So who've had careers as storytellers and who retired in their 80s. So I'm mentally preparing myself.
You can do it. You got it.
Alrighty. Enough about me. This podcast is all about you, my friend. So we got to talk about.
I am you. This is us, man. We are the whole boat story. Remember, it's us. We are you doing your thing helps me do my.
Awesome. So we got to talk about who are your dream collaborators, the singers, the songwriters, the musicians, the producers, and how would they enhance your sound?
Oh my God. Wow, that's a great question. Oh Wow. I want to do something with Alicia Keys. Yeah, I want to revisit that. That was special, but I've grown so much since then, and I want to revisit that, no question. And that would enhance my sound because there is a greater masculine and feminine at play, and she's balanced between her masculine and feminine in her way and me in my way, and that actually has a lot to do with creation and music. The secret to creation is the coming together of opposites. So plus and minus, 1 and 0, man and woman, physical and spiritual, light and dark. But we spoke about 1 and 0 binary code. If you look into the recipe for creation, you'll see that it begins with the opposites of heaven and earth, light and dark, and actually our definition of peace is not this cliche political message, but it's something much deeper. It's the coming together of opposites to create something new. So if you don't have that healthy friction, you're not going to create something new. If you're only agreeing all the time with everyone, there's not going to be much nuance. There will be some, but not much. But the greatest nuance comes when you have some healthy friction. It's like, I say this, no, I say this. Look, we want to make this work. It's a piece together, something new, a newer, greater reality, which the world needs right now. The world needs a paradigm shift and a newer, greater reality, a true peace, a peace that involves coming together of opposites and learning to disagree. Whether it's on a university campus where people aren't getting along because they disagree, people need to learn to disagree, and that's a good thing. University textbook just has one line after another of one opinion. You got to look at a page of Talmud and see that it's hundreds of opinions, and that's a good thing to argue and to disagree and create this healthy friction. And I want to do that with Alicia Keys. I do. I think there would be some beautiful, healthy friction there to create a new sound, and I would like to do that. Who else? Polo and Pan. Oh my gosh, do you know these two DJs, Polo and Pan?
I have never heard of them, but please enlighten me.
They're French DJs, and they're actually coming from the electronic world, and I'm coming from the singer-songwriter world. And I have just experienced this great revelation of collaborating with my buddy Baz The Young, also known as Boaz van de Beats, who is from Holland and now is here in Israel. And him and I are collaborating. We did Sensitive together. We did Loving Woman. We're going to be doing Guitar Guy, and out in September, October. Yeah, we'll do Guitar Guy in October. We basically have 8 singles coming up, one after the other. And if anyone's interested in hearing them, by the way, you just got, check them out wherever. Just follow on Spotify or on subscribing to YouTube, and you'll get notified, or hit me up on Instagram at Mayer Malik, or wherever it is, feel free. But Boaz also is coming from the electronic world. I know he's worked with Ariana Grande, and I see him sometimes mixing some stuff for Justin Bieber, whatever it is. And but I think he was coming from Diplo and from the electronic world, and working with him has been so great because it is these opposites coming together of electronic and singer-songwriter. And Polo and Pan, I'm loving their beats. I'm loving their song Nana. My one of the greatest percussionists, and he's also a great graphic designer and video maker and music production. His name is Ivan, and he's my man. And Itzo Design is what he goes by, ITZO. So he introduced me to Polo and Pan during a working session one time, and I've just been grooving to them, and I would like to collaborate with them somehow. Bring my singer-songwriter, mix it with their electronic vibe a little bit. I think it could be really cool. I think it's important that if you are coming from the strict acoustic, pure music world, to acknowledge that the electric side exists. It's not a bad thing. It exists, and it sounds good sometimes, many times, and it's got a that you just can't replicate anywhere else. And it's cool to combine that, and that's okay to bring opposites and nuance into the world. It exists for a reason, and I don't think it exists just to shut it down, And I think, that's a good start. Alicia Keys and Polo and Pan.
Awesome. So while you guys start winding down the conversation, so my final question is, where can my audience connect with you? And also, where can they find your music, Mayer?
Awesome. Well, you can go to mayermalik.com, MayerMalik.com. You can also search Mayer Malik on Instagram, again, MayerMalik, as well as on Facebook, which is really not so hot these days for some reason. I think the algorithm just out the window. TikTok as well, MayerMalik. Spotify as well, MayerMalik. Also Apple Music and these all 95 plus platforms. It's all over there. And by the way, Jake, where will this podcast be, hosted? Or
I am glad you asked, my friend, because it goes to, if you miss an episode of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar podcast, head over to our Apple Podcast, Deezer, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Spreaker. The audio version of my conversation with Malik will be there. Just type in October, coming in October. Just type in Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar Podcast, JAKES Take, and then of course Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. Once again, JACOBELYACHAR. And I'll be making sure to plug our podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. In fact, you're watching this right now on our YouTube page. And if you guys need to find my Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, it's just Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. And just to let you know, as we said in our conversation, jakestake.com, the original launching points for my brand, is celebrating its 10th anniversary in 2021.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. So if you want to read my take on Mayer's music, in addition to more articles, more interviews and reviews, including my recap of America's Got Talent from season 7 all the way to this past current season, head to jakes-take.com. Now, if you're financially able to, please consider heading to PayPal to help keep jakestake.com and my platform up and running. I'm the one that's been doing all the editing the videos, organizing all the interviews, organizing the questions. If you're financially able to, that's great. But if you're not, please consider subscribing to social media and everything else and visiting my website. I really appreciate you guys. Mayer, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to talk with me today. I really appreciate it.
My man, Jake, thank you so much for having me. And I want to ask that the Creator blesses you with health, happiness, and success, and all of your heart's desires to come true for the best.
And I want to wish you all the success and all the happiness and good health moving forward. So guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to listen to this podcast and to watch this podcast. Until then, have a great one, everybody. And thank you for your time. Goodbye.
Bye.